And now, live from Los Angeles, it's the Ultimate Candid Show with Brad and the Shark. Today's guest is Clayton Peterson, a medical student. We're going to learn something a little bit candid about Clayton today. Are you ready?
Let's go!
Let's go! Thanks so much for being part of the show today. Hope you have a good one. Sharkus, tell us what's new in the world these days.
What's new? It's 110 degrees. That's what's new.
110 degrees? Look at it. It's bright and sunny out too, isn't it, huh?
Yeah, if you want to fry an egg.
What's new in the news these days?
Well, Taylor Swift, I guess between her Eras tour, was seen attending a party at an exclusive cannabis club, and she decided she wanted to play adult Uno.
Really?
And some of her friends that were there were Jason Sudeikis and Questlove.
Wow.
Yeah, so I guess maybe Taylor likes to either play Uno or she likes to blaze. Yeah.
Wow.
One or the other. Or
Very
both.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Isn't that interesting?
That is.
Yeah. So I guess her Swifties probably can relate to cannabis.
She had to loosen up a little bit, huh?
Yeah, that or she was tired from touring and needed to relax.
There you go.
Anyways, also this week, Magic Johnson and his wife Cookie, along with Samuel L. Jackson and his wife, and Michael Jordan and his wife, happened to be hanging Magic's beautiful yacht in the Mediterranean and on the coast of Italy. And of all people, they ran into Clive Davis, who's an industry giant, and said, "Hey, get on the boat." And I guess Magic has been splurging about $1.2 million a week on this beautiful yacht that he has.
But he does that like every year, doesn't he?
Yeah, he likes to go to Europe. He likes to hang in Europe and have a good time. And then he always brings like really famous people on his yacht. And, I think that's pretty cool. I wish I knew him because maybe he'll bring me on his yacht.
Very giving individual. And, to take a break for a little while is a good thing. You kind of recharge and get going, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then also this week, everybody's heard about it, the big Hollywood strike.
Yes.
This town is completely shut down, which is kind of scary. This week, Oscar winner George Clooney joined the actors hitting the picket line, and it's the first strike between film and TV since 1960, where like everybody's like picketing.
Things are going to slow down.
Yeah, and he's stating this is like really catastrophic for Hollywood. Frankly, I mean, you're talking about a possible meltdown of about $4.1 billion in terms of losses. Wow. And I mean, a lot of industry giants like Bob Iger and folks like, Barry Diller and folks like that have been really candid saying, really this could have been resolved, but it wasn't. So it's going to cripple the local and national economy because this is impacting both sides of the coast.
I hope this gets resolved
on
sooner.
the left and the right coast.
Sooner than later, wouldn't that help?
Exactly. And then last but not least, California lawmakers recently want answers after the exit of a bunch of black Hollywood female executives in Hollywood. And they want to know why that's going on, and they're looking into it. So there's been a lot of stuff going on this week, but the big news has been the Hollywood writers and actors strike. And if this doesn't get resolved by like September, this could really impact 2024 movie and TV lineups.
My hope is that this gets resolved sooner than later.
Mine too, because I can only watch so much reality TV. Yeah. I want some action, man.
Let's get the writers out there. Let's get the actors back to work.
They need money.
That's
they
right.
Need money too. They got to pay their
everybody.
rent. They got to pay for food, medication, whatever else that they got to have, and they got families to feed. So, that's not good.
That's not good at all.
All right. So, yeah.
A lot of good things going on these days, huh? But, let's get this writer strike and actor strike resolved, and let's get these guys back to work, right?
Yeah. I want to be entertained.
Entertainment. So today's guest is Clayton Peterson. He is a medical student at Ohio State University. Do you hear that?
Is that Killer?
I think he's at the front door.
Killer, don't eat him. Whatever you do, don't eat him, Killer. God, listen to those paws. Jesus. Any of you have seen Killer?
Yeah.
Any of you have seen Killer, you would not want to deal with this thing. Trust me.
He's definitely at the front door. All right, let's bring him on in. Why don't you come on in, Clayton?
Hello, hello.
Well, hello there. Welcome, Clayton. How are you today?
I'm not doing too bad. How are you?
You're not too bad. You're here in California?
I am.
In Los Angeles land?
Yes, it's a great time, finishing up some of my things with medical school, coming out for a nice bachelor party and, see the family a little bit. It's a good
I
time.
understand. Sister's getting married, isn't she?
She is over in October,
Nice.
so it's coming up faster than what you'd think.
It's going to come up very quick.
Oh, absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. You actually live in Cincinnati, correct?
Well, I'm from Cincinnati.
Okay.
Currently living in Columbus for most of the past 5 or 6 years now.
Okay.
So just getting through school for the most part. Trying to be a doctor at some point.
But that journey has kind of gone back and forth, hasn't it? I mean, you haven't always been down that particular road. Tell us a little bit about your progression and what happened. You got out of high school, you went into college. What did you do?
Yeah, so I got out of high school, went to a really good place called St. Xavier in Cincinnati.
Okay.
I thought I was going to do business, so I was going to major in finance, math, and economics. But as soon as I got to Ohio State, I realized that I wanted a little bit more. I wanted something, something related to the science. At the same time, I had met this neighbor of mine who had a muscular dystrophy problem and was getting older. And, as I kind of got to know him a little bit better and got to help him in some of the last years of his life, I realized, I wanted to make, something like that a part of my life. I wanted to do what I could to help alleviate some form of human suffering so that people could go on and, do what makes their life meaningful.
Okay,
so,
but you started in business. Did you get a business degree, or tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I started in business. I was doing like some finance and economics and stuff like that. Still really like economics. I, made it a big part of my undergrad career. I got a minor in quantitative economics.
Wow.
Yeah, and so I actually had some economics professors that really wanted me to get a PhD in that. I was about to start doing some health economics research. And then I was out in California, and the next thing you know, there's a nice little virus called COVID, which shut all that down. So I did not do that. I ended up getting a master's degree in biostatistics, and then moved on to medical school.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, how did you happen to pick medical school, Ohio State? How did that all kind of happen?
Well, I mean, picking a medical school is it's no joke. I mean, it's a long process. You take the MCAT, and then you do your application, which is a number of essays, on the order of like 100 essays that you end up writing to go to apply to like 25 schools. I interviewed at for 11 different programs, got a number of acceptances, but at the end of the day, Ohio State's close to home. It's close to my friends, my people, things like that. And they gave me a pretty good monetary deal, I guess, too.
Very good.
It's
but a terrific medical school.
Oh,
outstanding.
No, it's an amazing school. And I think the thing that's really nice about a place like Ohio State is if you want to study anything, whatever it is in the medical field, they have it. It's like you want to do some of the latest genomic research. They have that at Ohio State. They have it at Nationwide Children's with some of the best scholars in the nation. If you want to do surgery, it has one of the best surgical programs in the nation. I mean,
Nice.
It has a little bit of everything, and they're doing a lot of great work. Building a hospital right now for it's supposed to open in 2026. Cost them between $1 and $2 billion to build this hospital.
Wow.
So there's a lot going on, and there's going to be a lot more going on there in the future. So it's a good time.
Now, what area are you interested in?
So I'm definitely thinking something surgical.
Okay.
I know I like working with my hands. Pretty much all my hobbies like piano, woodworking, working on cars. All things that I do with my hands. So naturally, with my career, I want to do something where I can do something with my hands. And I've been exploring that a little bit. This summer, I did a program in the cardiothoracic surgery department for 8 weeks, in the operating room just about every day. So, I mean,
there's long hours in medical, isn't there? Tell us a little bit about one of those days. How did that work out? When did it start? What did you do? When did it end? Tell us a little bit about that area.
Well, so they are long days.
Yes.
You can't get around that. but it's around 6 o'clock in the morning. You'll get at the hospital. You do your rounds on the patients that have undergone surgery or about to undergo surgery. You get into the operating room around 7 o'clock, and it could be you get out at 3, but it could also be, especially for me, on one of the days where there was a lung transplant, another lung transplant, and then a heart transplant. That's a 24-hour day right there.
Wow.
So
I bet you slept well.
well, I mean, during the last operation is when I started. It was, one of those things where, it was a learning experience. Luckily I wasn't the surgeon in charge for that, but,
there you go.
I got home and I slept until about 6 at the night. So
needless to say, they are dedicated, aren't they?
No, they are very dedicated to their craft. I mean, you have some of the best surgeons in the country. I mean, somebody like Dr. Whitson is doing a lot of heart transplants and lung transplants and a lot of heart surgery. And then he also has a, very well-funded lab too. I mean, he's a bit of a unicorn, he can do a lot to do both of those things well. I mean, a lot of the doctors in the department are Dr. Mokadam, Dr. Merritt. They're all very great doctors, and the things that they've been able to do with their career is very impressive.
Would you say you've learned a lot?
Oh, I've learned a ton. There's things that you never expect to learn, things that you never expect to see. You'll see it, and it's very challenging. It's long hours, but it's very rewarding.
But well worth it.
Oh, absolutely.
So you're stimulated.
No, for sure. I mean, when when the doctor, throws a bunch of sutures in an artery on the heart, then he asks you to cut it, and the heart's just under your hands, just knocking your hands up every time. I was terrified that I was just gonna nick the artery right there. I mean, it's it's a high stress environment, but and that, I mean, just to be scared to
So does your heart beat pretty fast when you're doing that, or are you just cool?
Yeah, no, I couldn't tell which heart I was feeling. Was it mine or was it the patient's heart? It's what's out there on the table.
Yeah, because I mean that's got to be kind of an adrenaline rush too, and in some respects, being a surgeon there's a godlike quality to it.
Yeah.
Because I mean you've got somebody's life in your hands.
Demanding.
Yeah. There's a responsibility.
Absolutely. Yes. Well, I mean, if you look at it in one way, it's the patient is completely surrendering themselves to you.
Right.
They're saying, I mean, one time you're looking at them, they're fully clothed, and the next moment, they've signed all their papers. They give themselves completely to you. They put their lives in your hands.
Their trust.
Exactly. And, there's a lot of responsibility in that. I mean, it takes a lot of dedication to your craft. Right. I mean, you really want to make sure that you're doing the best that you can for these people so that they can go on to continue living their lives a little bit better than what they were.
What made you switch from statistics to medical?
Well, so, I mean, like I was saying, the neighbor that I met, that sort of showed me that I want to do something like that with my life. It was also with the, I figure you can get the business side of anything. No matter what career you go into, business is going to be a part of it.
Right.
And I still wanted to do that, but I wanted a little bit more. And, when I was looking, it's okay, what sort of science can I get into? And I started studying neuroscience. So I got into a lot of the brain type things, doing some spinal cord injury research, some pediatric brain cancer research, things like that. And, you just get a feeling this is it, this is what I want to do.
A passion.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely much more of a calling field than, some of the other things. I mean, you have to really want it, in order to get into that. And, so yeah, it was that sort of thing.
What's been the biggest transition in medical school for you? Moving from, let's say, your MBA into medical school, what was the biggest thing? What were some of the biggest things you learned transitioning?
Well, I mean, to deal with the scale of information that they ask you to learn, is very different than anything that you do in the past. Like when I'm doing statistics or something like that, if I'm not, I could somewhat forget, the formula that you're supposed to use, but you can derive it, sort of there. It's a different kind of learning.
Right.
But with medical school, the thing they say, it's kind of like trying to drink water from a fire hydrant. It's like uh, no, they throw it at you, and it takes a decent amount of time and dedication to get used to that study schedule. Where it's like you can't study overnight for a test anymore. You're going to be studying for a month, in order to pass this class. So I think it was just a matter of figuring out the tools that I need to use. There's like learning. There's pretty much a flashcard app that medical school students have developed that deliver the cards to you at the exact right interval for you to retain the information.
Wow.
Things like that. So just to get by, and learning to use those tools. A lot of the resources that they give you, like with there's a lot of question banks online and things like that. And just getting after it for months on end.
But the class that you're in, the group is pretty close too. You have a pretty close-knit group of friends and people there where you study together, you work together, you stay together, you spend a lot of time together. Tell us about that.
Absolutely. So it's a lot different than undergrad in that respect too. I mean, Ohio State for undergrad, there's going to be 12,000 people in your class. Like
Wow.
you're not going to know everybody. It's so you can kind of it's kind of a bit of a city in a way. It's like you find your friend group and things like that. In a way, going to medical school is kind of like going back to high school in a way. For Ohio State, it's one of the bigger medical schools. There's 200 kids in your class.
Wow.
So that's a big medical school, but everybody knows everybody. And it can sort of change the social dynamics too. I mean, the social dynamics can sometimes be a little bit more like high school than college in a way, just because everybody knows everybody. But very tight-knit group of people.
How competitive?
That's what I was just about to say.
I was going to say that.
It's changed in recent times a lot because they've done a lot of things like the classes nowadays are more pass-fail type things. So you're not ranked against everybody else in the class, which has helped a lot because there's a lot of people what people call gunners, that in the past that, they'll work in their self-interest, in a way, and their self-interest might put you down. But I think that's been eliminated a lot recently with a lot of the pass-fail type things.
So it's more cohesive then.
More cohesive.
So is it to get the best out of people versus making it adversarial and that people are not really doing their best?
Yeah.
They just want to win.
Yeah, no, that's
good.
Kind of what they're trying to combat. I think it's a good feel. I mean, make no mistake, the bar to pass is very high. I mean, you're still getting after it with the studies and stuff like that in order to pass, but people help each other. I mean, we have this really big Google Drive where everybody shares all the study material that they've made and things like that. So I think everybody's really trying to help everybody there. I mean, and that's kind of what we need in the medical field. I mean, you want your, doctors to support one another.
Share information,
absolutely.
Make sure you get the best care back to that patient again then,
That's
correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's very good.
For sure.
Well, we're going to take a break here for just a minute. But to lead you up, before we get to that break, we're going to talk a little bit about something very candid about you with medical school that kind of deals with the piano. So we'll take a break here for 30 seconds.
All right.
And welcome back to the show. And for our listeners today, we have Clayton Peterson, a medical student at Ohio State University. We're going to learn something a little bit candid about, and we're going to get a little deeper with Clayton here in just a moment. And tell us, it has something to do with the piano and way back early on. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that, Clayton?
Yeah. So, I started playing piano when I was in the first grade.
First grade?
First grade. It's a long path, with that sort of thing. But in medical school now, I sort of picked it up back a lot more. Helps. I mean, medical school is stressful, things like that. But, I've kept up with it and tried to keep playing.
Is there a particular genre that you play or one that you really enjoy that, some people are really into certain areas of music? What do you do?
Yeah, so I was classically trained in piano, so
Wow.
Cool.
yeah, no, it's a good time, but things like that, Bach, Beethoven, Mozart, um, Bach and Chopin are probably my two favorites to play.
Okay.
Um, I don't know, Bach makes your hands feel good in a way. It's a lot of unique hand positions in some ways because he was into the counterpoint style of music.
Okay.
Which was big in the Baroque period, but sort of died off, where they'll create harmonies by intertwining multiple melody lines and things like that. So it's a really fun kind of music to play. Not terribly popular, but I enjoy it.
Would you
So,
say that's a mix in there with surgery in there in some respects?
so you'd be surprised at how intertwined music and medicine are. You look at the history of a lot of surgeons that sort of developed the fields and things like that. A lot of them played piano or did any sort of music. I think they naturally sort of go hand in hand. Sort of, I mean, no pun intended, but it's like it's because I mean they're both skills that take years to learn and develop. You can always continue to get better at them.
It's an art form.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, medicine. Despite how much science they throw at you in medicine, it's definitely much more of an art than a science. And
Which makes sense.
yeah, I mean, healing is it's tough. I mean, there's a lot of things we don't know, and sometimes the way that you deliver your care ends up impacting how the patient heals. So yeah, I mean, I think the art side of things naturally flows together. There's a lot of artists, there's a lot of musicians. I mean, they have a club at Ohio State where a lot of the doctors and medical students will write poetry and read it to one another and things like that.
Wow.
Yeah, no, I mean, I went to one of those meetings once. They actually had a uh, pretty famous doctor poet that had come back to deliver some of her poetry to us. I mean, it was, I mean, it was nice, but
Pretty impactful.
no, absolutely.
So, did you ever think about taking up any other musical instruments? I mean, there's this is before your time probably, but Glenn Fry, who was the lead singer and guitarist for the Eagles, passed away about 4 years ago. But he said that he started out playing the piano, then he gravitated to the guitar because he wanted to meet chicks. And so a lot of times, these guys, a lot of times musicians, whether they start with the piano or they start with the sax, they graduate or gravitate towards a different instrument for different reasons, anthropological reasons.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, but I mean, a piano is a little bit heavier than a guitar.
Yeah, I was
mean,
gonna say you can't take it anywhere
Yeah.
with you.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you get a Hammond or something like that. You can move that, but
Yeah.
yeah, no, I stuck to the piano
Yeah.
for the most part. In high school, I played trumpet in the concert band.
Okay.
I guess I did that in grade school too, but piano and trumpet were the two instruments that I played.
So you were dedicated to the piano, pretty much. I mean,
It's always my number one. I'm a faithful guy,
Yeah.
It's
so you're disciplined. I mean, that's good.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's a very
not
good thing.
easy to be disciplined. I mean, whether you're in your 20s or 40s or 80s or 60s. I mean,
well, and with that too, I mean, there's a period when you're learning the piano where you know just how bad you are, and once you reach that level, it's where you're bad, like kind of in a
Right.
way. It's hard to trudge through that, and you're there for a number of years before you start to, play some of the bigger pieces.
Really blossom.
Yeah, no, it takes time to get there, and I'm still learning. I mean, I can still look at a lot of things where it's like, wow, I am like 1% as good as this piano player like Yevgeny Kissin or something like that.
Wow.
It's like there's a lot of room for growth. So I mean, I could do it until I'm dead, almost dead, and
Right.
I'll still be learning.
So my mom played the piano when she was a young girl in the beginning of her life, and then she kind of petered off and didn't do it anymore. So, out of curiosity, how did you pick up the piano? Was it your mom or dad encouraged you, or what happened?
Yeah, so we had a Yamaha upright piano
Uh-huh.
from the time I was born, I guess. And one of my older sisters started playing the piano at one point, and so I was in kindergarten, and I would just hear it. It's like I want to do that. It's it's just there. It's like, somebody ought to play it. And so she stopped playing piano, but I picked it up. And, once you start, you just can't stop. You got to keep playing.
So you liked it?
Oh, absolutely.
Do you have a keyboard that you've brought with you to school, or?
Yeah, so I ended up buying, a nice cheap Casio at Costco.
And it works.
No, it works. It has.
That's all that matters.
No, it has weighted keys. There's all 88 of them, so you can play whatever you want. But yeah, no, it's you definitely got to take something with you, because that's the biggest thing. Is once, because there was a period of about 2 years in college when I didn't have my keyboard because I was in the dorms. There was no place to put it.
Yeah.
You just stop playing altogether. I might have gone to the music department twice and played some of the pieces that I had known, but it's not as easy to play as when it's in your room. Right. So once I got my house up at school, I brought the piano back up, and it's really easy to play it every day when it's there.
That's
so
nice.
It's
it really sounds like music and medicine are intertwined then.
Absolutely.
How often do you play the piano? Once a week, twice a week? When you've had a really bad day? I mean, how are you motivated?
Most days.
Most days.
So yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is it's the same sort of thing they say is like, you're never going to play the guitar if it's in its case under your bed, sort of thing.
True.
So it's like, if I put the piano in a spot where I'll see it every single day, so it's on the wall across from my bed. So I wake up, I see it. So I'm about to get ready. I was like, well, maybe I'll play a song right now. You just turn it on and you get going. I mean,
you start the day off right.
Yeah, or maybe it's like I have a massive test coming up tomorrow, but maybe I'll start studying a little bit later. I'll play a piano piece right now. So it can be used for procrastination too, but you find ways to fit it in.
Very good. Very nice. Well, this has been a great session. We really appreciate your time. We've learned an awful lot about you. We've learned a little bit about Ohio State University. We've learned a little bit about medicine and music and how they're tied together. And we really thank you very, very much.
Yeah, no problem. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you.
We're going to close today's session out. Hope you guys really enjoyed listening and meeting Clayton Peterson, the medical student at Ohio State University. Hope you have a great week ahead. We'll see you next week. Take care.